Yes, sir. So I got to ask you this, and this came up. I actually had a chance to ask Oscar De La Hoya this actually yesterday, and it was kind of spurred off of the Floyd Schofield Jr. and the Floyd Schofield Senior thing. What is your thoughts about fathers training and managing their sons? Like, what's your thought about that in boxing? Does
I
that
do you really
does
want
it
to know
work?
it?
Can it work?
Do you really want to know?
Yeah, I do. I really want to know.
Come on, man. Come on, man. I'm gonna let you know right now, man, and you may not agree with me, but dads in boxing should be banned. And I only say this, because it's really hard. This sport, right? Doesn't You can't get emotional in this sport. And for a father, his son is his weakness. His family is his weakness. And for him to be in that corner, for him to be managing his career and all that, like it's hard not to take the emotion out of business. It's hard when you're watching your son in there and he's fighting, and you feel that you know how much he can take, and you stop the fight too late. You know what I mean? He takes a massive amount of damage, or he gets injured or get hurt. Like, and I'm saying this because if you go back and you watch Dog Bay, his father back in the days when the fight should have been stopped. And I understand that the referee has his duty, but the corner, I believe, has to protect the fighter, and the father did, because he's saying, no, that's my son, I know him more than everybody. So you have that. So, but there are some exceptions. There are. You have Lomachenko's father. I think he's great. He stays behind. He trains his son. Stays out of the media. He doesn't want any of the limelight. He respects the business. I like those type of fathers. I like. Don't get me wrong. I do love fathers that spend time with their sons, train their sons, and get all. I understand all of that. I get it. My father was a part of my career. However, my father set his pride aside and he allowed someone else to guide my career, because he felt that he felt that he's took me as far as he can take me. A lot of these fathers believe that they are a god, that they the best. And I'm like, no, you're not. Your son should be with a different trainer. Your son will improve from a different trainer. So look, there's a lot of different things, man, I could talk about as far as this father and son relationship. It's a beautiful thing, but at the same time, man, there's a lot of demons behind this, man. And so, speaking of the Schofields, you see what can happen when you have somebody in complete control. You know, a lot of these fathers don't let these sons grow the hell up and be men and control their own career and their own destiny, and just be there along the way if they need assistance. My father did that for me. My father didn't control me, okay? But when you give him those reins, this is what can happen. It's dangerous, man. It's dangerous. So, and I see it all too often. I know a lot of sons' careers have been ruined because of their fathers. Now, on the flip side, you can say, well, I've seen a lot of other people's careers ruined because of their trainers. I've seen that as well. However, man, that's a topic that this topic right here is a topic that gets a lot of people going.
Yeah,
Um,
because it's emotional. It's emotional. Anytime you talk about your family, your kids, your sons, it's emotional.
it is, and it's hard. And if you can separate the two, that's great. I want fathers to spend time with their sons. I want that. Like, that's important. I think it's important for the young ladies out there as well, not just the sons. However, if you don't know how to keep your emotions, allow your son to grow up, not using your son as a human ATM, having your own job. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, the list goes on, man. I could talk about this all day. The problems that I have with father and sons in boxing. I could talk about this all day long. However, it's a topic that it's a real sensitive topic. and I'm not afraid to touch on it, man.
Yeah. No, and that's why I asked you because I knew I remember watching how your career was coming up, and I remember how involved early on, like it appeared like your dad was, but at some point, like you said, it was like, okay, now it's time for him to go and be with a professional trainer. I took him as far as I could take him, and
Yeah.
I can relate to it not from a boxing standpoint, but I coached my son in basketball throughout grammar school, even through high school. I was the only coach he knew, and we would do the off season training stuff together. We do all that, and I know a good amount about basketball and all of that and how to get better. But I also knew where my ceiling was,
Mm-hmm.
and I also knew that he need to be trained by somebody that don't love him as much as I love him.
Oh, that's deep. Mm-hmm. Like
Because
that.
if if I'm the only one that's training him, dad gonna trump trainer. And in this
Mm.
particular situation, he needs a trainer more than he needs a dad. Because dad gonna always be there, and he'll always be able to come back to me
That's smart.
as his dad. But right now, he needs a trainer, and I think that's the tough part. But it was tough for me because you feel like you relinquishing some level of control,
Control.
and but for me personally, being like, I'm being a spiritual person, my thought was I was never in control anyway.
Mm.
God was in control anyway. So it is what it is. Now it's just time for a
Did,
different voice.
did y'all ever bump heads?
Me and the so my son's a freshman playing college basketball right now. And I watch things sometimes, and I'll be thinking to myself like, "Oh my God, this ain't. I don't really think
Yeah.
that's what that is." But I gotta let them do their thing. And have I overstepped here or there? I'm sure I have. But my son, he said something that was so dope to me. He told me, he said, "Dad, you're a rookie. You're a rookie parent right now." He said,
What?
"So you gonna make mistakes just like I'm gonna make mistakes." He said, "This
Mm.
your first year ever being a parent on the sidelines,
Mm.
just like this my first year ever not being coached by you. So we both making mistakes, but we both gonna get better at it." I was like,
Wow.
"Man, this dude, that was dope. That was dope that he told me." I said,
Wow.
I was like, I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel that. So it
Yeah.
was
That's deep.
that was
That's
dope.
deep.
It was dope
Oh,
that he said that.
absolutely.
Yeah, it was dope. So
Well, I, my father and I, my father was still, again, he was still involved in my career, but he was a secondary trainer. My father would always work on my defense, 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 defense. We had a thing that me and him we created, and it was like, I'm your coach when we in the gym. I'm your father when we on the way home. You know what I mean? Like we would separate. So, but if he was my father in the gym, just like being at home, if he asked me to do something and I pop off at the, Dad, I don't want to, I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? So like we found a way to separate the two, and it's like, are you going to tell your coach what you're not going to do? You know what I mean? Like I no longer can do that. So that was our relationship in the gym. Hey, just pick that left hand up. All right, coach. I would call him coach. I wouldn't call him dad, father. I wouldn't call him coach. Yes, coach. Yes, coach. Yes, coach. Because if it was anybody else, that's what I would be saying. So that can help fathers out there. So I gave him the bad. I'm gonna help some fathers out there.
yeah.
I'm gonna help you, fathers.
Yes,
All right.
yes. No,
So
no.
that's one way you can separate it. All right. On the way home, you can be the father. Hey man, you look good in the gym today. You look great in the gym today, son. Fantastic job. You can talk about something other than the gym. As far as business goes, you want your son to learn this boxing business in depth. You want him involved in the meetings. You want him to understand what's going on, man. So if you're the father, you're sitting at the table and your son is not, that's an issue. Your son should be sitting right beside you and y'all should be managing this together. That's another tip that I have for the fathers. Got to, because again, money starts to change things. Even and the ones that are still from you is your family. I'm letting you know the ones that are close enough to you, right? Those are the ones that can truly hurt you. The ones from the outside, in my opinion, they can't hurt you. You can see them coming a mile away. But the ones in inside, those are the ones that can really, really damage you. So sitting at the table, that's another tip for the sons out there. You should be sitting at the table. You should ultimately be saying yes or no, because this is your business, not your dad's. It's your business. And dads, allow your sons to have that. Allow your sons, the ones that's in there taking those punches, to run his business the way he wants to run it. Whether you agree with some of the things or not, you got to let him fall on his face. Because we as parents were always trying to save our children from falling on their face. But in reality, the thing that we should do is allow them to fall on their face, so that way they learn from it. So that's another tip for the fathers out there. Allow your son to grow up. Don't be a helicopter father constantly watching everything he's doing. Let him make his choices. Let him decide. He has to live in his consequences. And when he makes a mistake and you say, "Hey, I try to tell you. However, you had to go through it. Now you gonna listen to me real quick? Okay, that a perfect opportunity, parent moment, to come in and be like, "Hey, are you ready to do what we need to do?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's get to work."